but never quite being able to tip the scale on a variety of those matches with a victory. Even one win in one of those matches would make them far more competitive than they are right now. And that's just a sobering reminder to these teams that, hey, you can't be losing early. I know it's matches 1 through 3 and the playoffs are, 5-6 months away. But those points that you're losing right now, they come back to haunt you. And that loss to Rise Nation in week number 7 for SSG, a match that a lot of people thought that SpaceStation should have been able to win quite cleanly given Rise Nation's perils as a roster. That might end up being, when they look back, the moment that they lost the ability to go to Milan.
There's a couple other rounds in there as well through the draws that you can look back on and kind of kick yourself. But for right now, SpaceStation have to put all that in the rear view mirror. Sorry. We now have a Hibana, Jackal, Pulse, and Maestro banned. So we'll still have Echo. We'll still have Mira available. Jackal on Coastline, very strong operator to ban out because there aren't a lot of opportunities for rotations on the map. You've only got 2 staircases up or down, so once you're Jackal pinged, you can maneuver horizontally. But if you get Jackal pinged on an opposite vertical plane than the objective, it's either 2 staircases or you're vaulting down the courtyard if you're in a situation where you are defending kitchen, or you cannot vault up the courtyard, so you got to take a staircase. So a very strong operator to ban out. The Hibana as well, because I imagine the game plan was to not ban out the Mira if you're on the side of Rogue. Take out the Hibana, that's crucial at taking the Mira out at range, and that's exactly what Shuttle 6 picked to off of the smoke for a kitchen defense to begin things off.
Yeah, that was a very telling sign there by Rogue banning the Hibana. A lot of teams don't run hard breachers on Coastline. A lot of teams don't run Mira on Coastline either. So you run a Mira, what's one of the best ways to be able to take a Mira out of action? You have X-Kairos. The launcher can fire through multiple rooms and destroy a black mirror on the other side. So what do? You take the Hibana out of play, you can run a Mira. It's going to force SpaceStation, who are used to running double hard breachers on a lot of different sites, likely having Hibana in the hands of Chala, Thermite in the hands of Brian, formerly Redeemer in a lot of cases. You take one of the operators that not just is a mainstay to SpaceStation out of the equation, but also one of the best tools that the way that SpaceStation plays to also take out the Mira.
This is a pretty common setup for a kitchen defense, especially when the Mira is still in play. You have a Mira inside of Theater, basically where the default would be just on a reinforcement this time when you're defending Penthouse and Theater. A little bit of an alteration to the norm there. And you're looking to have Easily and Shuttle apparently on site as your 2 anchors, and Vertical, a little bit of a stretch out right now, but it would be Eclipse and Slash right now, trying to hold down map control topside, and I imagine the Yokai's Convert will help propel the roam game into acquiring a lot of possible information. Looks like this might be a run out through Hookah Balcony. Yeah, it spooked Brian enough to rip off the drone. Looks like it was Slash running out, but he'll be droned out now by Chala as he retreats down the Cool Vibes stairs. So looks like Rogue looking to take a shot early, and there goes Vertical at 90, being spotted out on Chala's drone using his own drones. Try and decipher where the SpaceStation attack is coming from. Looks like there was some shotgun holes being made right underneath that VIP double window from Kitchen to watch the vault in from Chala, who currently carries the diffuser. And we've denoted that Chala for a while now has had a tough run of things as far as facilitating a fragging role, and he's not in a fragging role, but getting kills regardless. Shuttle will grab the first pick onto Rampy, a member of SpaceStation who has no problem recently picking up quite a few picks.
Obviously, losing the ACOG on the R4C dramatically impacted the way that Rampy is going to play and which operators he's going to play on. You put him in a buck role here, which is something that we've seen Bosco play previously. You've got Bosco on the IQ, so just a bit of a mixture on these roles, but that's damning to lose your buck that early. It also means that the ADSs that are in the hands of Slash will likely be used for something other than just those frag grenades. It's going to be an answer back, though. Thinking nade downed as Slash is very low on HP. Eclipse is taken out. The Pulse ban will impact Rogue. You know how much they love to run the double UMPs on a wide array of maps, either in the castle or in the hands of the Pulse. This heavy commitment upstairs the Penthouse Theater will at least puzzle Chala just for a tiny bit, as what little is left of Slash will be able to pick up a very important kill, taking out those asphyxiating bolts, which cannot be tagged by the ADSs. Once again, meaning that Slash's operator, that Jaeger, his utility is going to pay extreme dividends. Another member of SpaceStation falls as well, leaving Rogue in a position to just hang on. There's 30 seconds left, and Brian is just going to ease his way down the main lobby stairs. He's got the bathroom ahead of him. He doesn't know that Slash is still lurking somewhere near the main desk. This could possibly be a heads-up fight here, but who moves first is going to be the major question. Brian, with his back to the Jaeger, could easily get hunted down and spooked, leaving Bosco with that diffuser on a suicide mission. With 10 seconds to go, Brian's position given away will likely call Slash out of his position. Where's Brian going to go from? Well, they're shuttling easily to be able to take down the 2 remaining members of SSG. You didn't even need Slash to do anything inside of the main lobby. Rogue, hold on, and look, it looked quite easy on that very first round. The space station's entry was dynamited from below the moment that Rampy got into the building.
I'm curious where Brian had deployed his air jabs. You know, talked about it in the prep phase and the ban phase that there's limited rotation possibilities, and Slashog utilizing both staircases with ease, never really being contested on either staircase, and was able to down off Thinking Nade, and he just sat inside of luggage and bled out until finally easily was able to clean up that kill later on. Slash, though, having no problems rotating back up and down the staircases, so just curious where the utility deployment was there from Brian, if he was more concerned about runouts and an extremely aggressive play after maybe that hookah balcony run out from Slash. Maybe intimidated SSG into thinking that Rogue were going to start taking fights that were unexpected. But a kitchen defense, victorious, and now Rogue will flex over to the Blue Bar and Sunrise Bar. So they're staying on the first floor. This isn't something that is too uncommon on Coastline. Typically, Penthouse and Theater is your most avoided site these days. Although with a Mira in play, makes it a little more possible, but it's still not preferred from a lot of pro teams in every region right now.
Very curious to see how much these operator bans are really going to impact Space Station, especially that Hibana ban, because that round in particular looked really uncomfortable for SSG. Also could be the fact that that early C4 is masking a lot of the problems with Space Station, because Rampy's buck could have been instrumental in being able to put that vertical pressure on. You know that a big part of why Mira also doesn't get played that much on Coastline is not just because it's kind of a feedback loop, as it's been described by a couple players and coaches. Mira is always banned, so you don't practice with Mira. You don't practice with Mira, so you don't ban Mira that much, etc., etc., etc. It could have also just been that teams don't like playing Mira because, very similar to Villa, there's a lot of verticality that happens on Coastline. A lot of these sites, the way you're going to play it, you're very at risk of a buck, a frag grenade, a Sophia, and Ash underneath you being able to take your footing away from you. That means it's very easy fodder for the attackers to be able to get the Mira window through those holes that are opened up. You've seen multiple bucks do this in the main lobby. When you're looking at Penthouse and Theater, you go into main lobby, you shoot out a bit of the ceiling, and you get the Mira window not too far off. Smart to be able to play on that bottom floor, because it means that Space Station will now have to clear top down, which is how a lot of teams are going to try to clear most bomb sites on most maps. And with the way that Rogue can play, especially with this Alibi in play, whose utility might not be the best, but she can at least confuse you on site and then be able to roam and give you just a second of hesitation. Opening frag is going to be on to easily, as cameras will still exist, but the Valkyrie is off the board, along with a C4 for the remainder of round number 2.
You got Brian now flexing over to a Twitch from the Nomad and joining out Eclipse in behind the billiards bar. There's a lot of top pressure here from Rogue, as is standard. They lose a member on site, so you're trying to repel this top push from SpaceStation Gaming. Playing in wait, prone behind a deployable shield right now is Vertical inside of Hookah. Early contention there from Eclipse, but Chala immediately refrag. Vertical claims another life, though, onto Rampy, so we equalize at a 3v3, but not before Chala. Another one with that M249 finally shut down by Vert, and he'll vault right back down the hatch to retreat to the objective with a minute remaining. You've got Shuttle and Vertical on site. Brian and Thinking Nade left to work out of this 2v2. Like we said, the Hibana ban crucial is breachers, not common on Coastline, but common for Space Station. They have no breach potential to push into the office, and there are reinforcements on the Sunrise entrance wall to repel anyone pushing through on created holes. They'll have to push in through a door frame. Shuttle will have a Nitro Cell in his back pocket, and Vertical will now be droned out at the Sunrise window. Thinking Nade will be droning down with 30 seconds remaining. It's a split push here, and Thinking Nade carrying the diffuser upstairs. If he tries to push down, Cool Vibes could be precarious, but Brian will collect the kill onto Vertical, leaving Shuttle alone inside of the site, whiffing the shots, now whipping out the shotgun, and still cannot land. Shuttle missing crucial shots in that round, and Space Station Gaming off the backs of the F2 of Brian will lock things out on a Sunrise and Blue Bar push that was very disjointed, but able to collect the kills nonetheless. A lot of trades upstairs.
A a lot of ways, this is also Brian having his moment of possible revenge against his former squad. Keep in mind that Rogue used to be the home of Brian up until recently. He's removed off of the roster. He had a bit of a move going around here. He was in Space Station for a while, then he was on Orglis, now he's back on Space Station. He's on a team that, for the time being, is at least above his former squad. And that's obviously a point of pride for him and an opportunity for him to exact some revenge. Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out, 30 seconds left and Thinking Nade still had both of his drones remaining. Brian just waited patiently as Thinking Nade was able to evade what mute jammers there were and be able to get the location of the final member of Rogue that was on site while trying to figure out where Slash was playing. Just somewhat off-site. And of course, when you get droned out, what are you going to do? You're likely going to try to move, at which case, name a better gun than an F2 on attack to be able to chew through you as you're trying to find safety. And it was just good coordination for Space Station to bail themselves out of a final 30-second. That didn't look like it was a sure thing. In fact, I probably would have put my money on Rogue in that round because Rogue still had the mute jammers in play. They still had a nitro cell in play. You know that there's likely going to need to be a plant through that foyer into Sunrise. You got a nitro cell primed and ready with the planter's name on it. Didn't really need to get there, though, because Slash wasn't in a position to do all that much. And by the time he was able to get back to site, well, he was in a 1v2 in that position where throwing a C4 out is likely going to get you killed because you're going to have one other member of your opponent's side watching and waiting for that. Especially when they know it's a mute. There's mute jammers on the board. You can just do the math as to who's playing what.
Well, we talked about Shala, at least I did, saying that he hasn't had a good run of things lately as far as the kill department is concerned. Obviously playing Hibana quite a lot, and there's different ways you can play Hibana as far as what you do after you get your breaching pellets off, whether you carry diffuser or not in your team composition. However, so far in this game, leading the charge right now with that M249 and the new scope, Bosco looks like to kill onto verticals. There goes the Jaeger this time around. It won't be easily first to fall as his, I guess, pattern recently for Rogue, but as I say that, easily will lose half his life and now be downed off by, it sounds like, the F2 of Brian on top of that Sunrise bar. He'll drop down behind and Eclipse above, looking down through the kill holes. Possibly thinking about pulling out a stim pistol, but he's also looking into Office now, swapping up his angle back and forth. Easily has been revived, and Eclipse upstairs in a tough spot. Won't be able to get a stim pistol off just yet. And it looks like Chal is looking to send out some smoke bolts into sight. So SSG ramping things up and accelerating quite a lot in comparison to last round.
This is interesting because it's another bar defense, and once again, Rogue has found themselves just sitting and just waiting. They have one body upstairs in Eclipse who could possibly get hunted out. I mean, you've got SSG with the numbers to be able to pinch the dock if they need be, but the question is, how is the drone work for Space Station going to be? The one thing that the addition of Brian to SSG did was seemingly improve the coordination on this team and give a little bit more confidence when all of the members of SSG went together. There's Eclipse from above, very easy to pick off Chala, and unfortunately for SSG fans, that's the diffuser down as well. This is a good position for Eclipse to just lord over the rotate hole. He's got Slash now as well upstairs, just watching the side of Hookah. Able to look all the way down, possibly contest on Billiards. Just for a fleeting second there, Eclipse sees the foot of one member of SSG. He'll fall off, likely getting the call from Shuttle. There's somebody inside of Aqua. Lights up Bosco, but Eclipse will have to retreat. He loses a lot of HP. Rogue bleeding out for the time being as Brian now tasked with planting the diffuser, something he's no stranger to. A C4 gets tossed in, and will it connect? Oh no, it doesn't even go off! But Shuttle so narrow on HP, it's SSG locking it out as a successful plant. Eclipse will be called back to site, but it's a 3v1 with the diffuser down, and Rogue will twist and turn. Brian has been down though, so it's glorified 2v1 in favor of Space Station. Eclipse will be watching for the post plant. He'll stim himself back up, but it will surely have been called out. Very vulnerable by the window inside a Sunrise bar, and his end will be swift and painless. Gets himself back up off the floor, but Rampy just holding hard onto the angle will give Space Station their second round in a row. Diffuser down. Bad timing for that C4 to fail to go off, either being shot very well, as it appeared to be, and Brian gets that diffuser down.
Shot in the nick of time as well. Just milliseconds away from that cell phone being ripped out to detonate. Good cover there from Space Station. Another one of those scary situations where you haven't really done a lot of work to clear out the anchors on the objective, yet you're still trying to execute that site push. We've seen that a few times from Space Station throughout the course of the season. Nonetheless, garners them around. It'll be Brian six picking off of the glass onto the Twitch now, and same thing for Easily from the mute to the smoke. It'll be a rotation now for Rogue. They're going to come off of their defense on Sunrise and Blue Bars. They attempt it twice and lose it twice. So they'll go back to the only site they've been victorious on so far through 3 rounds, which is Kitchen and Service Entry. And last time around, again, it was a good start there, taking down Rampy from a Nitro Cell that really began the dominoes falling against SpaceStation Gaming in favor of Rogue. The roaming last time, the roaming potential for slashing on that Jaeger, really dominant, as well as, I believe that was Shuttle, or sorry, no, it was easily roaming around as that Mute, the SMG-11. This time he's on the smoke. Vertical as well, providing support upstairs with that Echo at 90, constantly providing intel for the rest of the team. It was a well thought out roam game from Rogue on the top floor and being able to stall out that VIP push. You saw Chala out on that balcony, waiting and waiting for an entry into VIP window and make it in and have some kind of effect on the round, but had to sit out there for about a minute. Good news is he's having a lot of success with that new scope on the M249, 100 bullets in that giant box magazine that the LMG carries, and the changes to the new operator, new changes to existing operators, doing dividends here for SpaceStation Gaming.
What the major change on the M249? It gets a nice cleaner scope. Now everybody's using it. That's it.
Yep.
The para falls out of favor. It's that simple. It's funny because prior to getting the new scope, even with the ACOG on it, everybody's talking about, oh, the M249, it's one of the worst guns in the game. It's dreadful, yada, yada, yada. And now, it's everywhere. Thank you, Burn Horizon. Thank you, Gridlock, for being able to give that new scope on attack to Capitão. Interestingly enough, with Chala being that opening kill, we really haven't seen much of what SSG is going to try to attempt, likely with either a rotate denial / area denial that comes from the asphyxiating bolts and the smoke off of Chala's Capitão. And yes, there has been much discussion of Chala's impact on this team and how his role has also changed with the addition of Rampy and Bosco, and how the flexibility of Thinking Nade on more of a flex role now instead of playing on hard support or even anchor on site has changed the way that he plays. But on a non-hard breach role on this Capitão, it doesn't matter what role he plays. He can't find himself in a position where he's consistently being one of the first people picked off. You hear one of the telltale signs of something being shot out of the crossbow of Capitão, as SSG are very close to being able to pull off and execute. Rampy's going to be felled to a C4, though, very similar to round number 1. As Chala's there just trying to do some cover all the way in towards the bedroom. There's nobody who's going to bother to peek from Rogue. Great restraint will leave us with 1 minute left. It will have to be a rotate from SSG, as once again, down goes one of the soft destructors. It was a buck for Rampy. Now it's a sledge this round. It's going to completely alter the way that SSG decides to push the site.
With Brian taking the Twitch there, you think that maybe that mirror window inside of Theater wouldn't be as successful at stalling out the roam clear, but 2 minutes elapse and SpaceStation Gaming don't really pick up any ground. They don't have any map control, and they lose Rampy for it. The VIP push fails, and they all bail out, and now they rotate down on a horizontal plane outside of Sunrise and Kitchen window. You can see Rogue have peeled back all the way into Service, thinking they're going to vault outside of the main lobby doorway as Chala holds down the window. She's got one member for Rogue inside of main lobby. It looks like he's rotated back into Service now. So Bosco will vault in and try and tango up for this Sunrise push through the Kitchen doorway. With his 13 seconds remaining, Clips will take one, but the Claymore from Thinking Nade will trade out Slash, vaulting into his own smoke bolt, but Vertical claims another victim into Brian. The plant going down in the midst of smoke and walking through is easily with the shotgun. One is down for Bosco. He'll collect his kill, but it's fruitless as Eclipse will drop Bosco. A beautiful round there from the roam stall there from Rogue, honestly. That map control upstairs and that one mirror window inside Theater is really devastating to SpaceStation's momentum. Unable to clear, and it's another Rogue victory.
And that's Kitchen once again going in their favor. It's the only site that they've defended outside of the double bars. They did it successfully twice. Rogue haven't gone up to that second floor just yet. At the bottom of our screen, it suggests that they finally will in round number 5. I think it's the appropriate time to do so. SpaceStation have lost control of that second floor, and it has been absolutely killer to their chances. The moment that Rampy goes down, the rest of the team flounder to be able to make work of their site push. I would imagine that a huge amount of SSG strategy is just simply keeping Rampy upstairs, clear out that second floor, put pressure on the anchors, and if you're not clearing that second floor, that's okay, because the people who are off-site are going to have to be wary of the fact that they might not hold the map control to prevent your anchors and your support players from getting pressured above. It's been Shuttle who's actually been a rock star for Rogue now on 2 separate occasions to do the heavy lifting take out a major asset to SSG that has completely changed SSG, knocked them on their heels, and they have not been able to recover. It's allowed Rogue to just kind of ride the rest of the round, and even though Chala did go for the plant, you have Bosco trying to cover a plant in smoke. You're likely going to be planting in the smoke. It's pretty easy for Rogue to know where you're going to be, and at that time, you've got Bosco trying to watch 4 bodies on Rogue. That's very difficult to do. Interestingly enough, though, when both times that SSG attacked the double bars, their drone work was solid. It doesn't seem to be the case at all when they're attacking the kitchen. And I don't know if it's just simply that they're getting beat by mute jammers. I don't know if it's just simply that they aren't prepared for Rogue to be roaming as aggressively upstairs. It's something we can ask them if they do win or at least draw, and we get an interview. But it's speculation for us for the time being.
I also want to point out how rigid the operator lineup is for SpaceStation Gaming. Not really making a lot of rotations on operators. We saw Brian bring up the Nomad in the first round and then abandon that with the amount of mirror that was being played and holding down Theater. But the Switch drones weren't even successful at popping that mirror inside of Theater. So there's a stall-out factor for SpaceStation Gaming. There's a lot of opportunities here to try and change the way you're attacking a mirror. You could bring a Ying. You still got the Capitao smoke bolts that really haven't done a lot from Chala as far as disrupting the purview of that mirror inside of Theater. There's other options here for SpaceStation, but they seem content to rock the same operators again and again. And they're level at a 2-2 here. It's not the end of the world, but there's small changes that could be made to really accelerate that roam clear, as that's kind of the first phase of their progression that keeps stalling out. So Rampy will make it into luggage, take down a Valkyrie camera, as Bosco has been instrumental on the IQ, though. We saw him in tandem with Thinking Nade the last time they attacked over towards the Blue Bar and Sunrise Bar up on the roof, taking down a lot of utility and ADSs through the roof with those EMPs. Thinking Nade taking the pings from Bosco and doing a lot of work with the EMPs to disrupt all the safety nets that Rogue had in place. But we head to a hookah billiards defense here from Rogue that, again, there's not a lot of progression from SpaceStation. We're over halfway through the round now, and we've got a couple members from SpaceStation inside of luggage. But other than that, not a lot of engagement being taken, and the pace quite slow.
Even on one of those bar attacks, it wasn't until the pressure was on that second floor on Eclipse and Shuttle that we really saw SpaceStation be able to finally get a good push on. Now, taking out the Echo is pretty important. The frag grenade will sail over the head of Slash, so there will be no trade-off. It's a good pick on Rampy, who broke the record for most kills in a single game of Pro League. He's not going to be able to do so on Coastline yet again, as Chala will be in the midst of his own smoke. Where's he going to go? Well, he takes out Slash. He knows that he's likely going to get pushed from Cool Vibes. Whether it's winnable or not, will really come down to the information here. Where's the Yokai? Where are the Evil Eyes? Chala knows he's got another body playing over by Vase, but he's not going to be able to do much and out-duel Eclipse. Bit of an interesting decision to pull out the crossbow instead of go for the sidearm. That could have simply been a misclick. Hard to exactly tell without asking him.
Could have been.
But all that action happening. The point that I was going to try to make about this match, which has been, I would say, this has been very oddly paced for a map. There's been action happening sporadically, early in the round, middle of the round, a lot of bodies being thrown at each other as we start to transition towards an execute, and I think that's Rogue getting very aggressive. They don't want to let SpaceStation settle in. But this is a map that's been pretty decent for SpaceStation. Rampy broke the kill record on this map, we know, and it was still a draw. But SpaceStation just haven't been able to bring enough tools to be able to figure out what's going on with Rogue. Massive credit to the way that Rogue has been rotating as well, because they just seem to be uncatchable. And once again, this goes back to the mute play that we've seen from Rogue, and the number of rounds that we've seen Slash playing on that mute. It could be that good droning that SpaceStation has done in the past is being defeated by a couple well-placed mute jammers. Also, hesitation from SpaceStation. Rampy has been entering and never been in a position from somebody from SpaceStation to trade him off. Rogue are killing Rampy for free, essentially. There's no draw. There's no trade. And that, for Rogue alone, boosts their fortunes because they don't have to worry about being counter-pushed immediately. Also shows that there's sloppiness in the way that SpaceStation is entering. Rampy should have some support in some capacity. Now, mind you, 2 of them have been C4s. Pretty hard to trade that one off. But at least be in a position where you can possibly bait that C4 out, or maybe realize that, hey, this has happened a number of times. Let's maybe not do the same thing again and expect a different result.
So, Rogue and their final defensive stand in this game, no matter what. Even if we head to a tie, there is no overtime. Obviously, So it'll be a Blue Bar and Sunrise defense for the third time and final time here for Rogue as they look to extend and finally win on this site. They've been unsuccessful 0 for 2 now on this objective. Much more defiant win last time around for SpaceStation rather than the first one. It came down to a 2v2 the first time around and then a 1v3, technical 1v2 as one member of Rogue was down. Sorry, SpaceStation was down. Still, Rogue having some flaws on this particular site, and it was the roam clear last time around for SpaceStation upstairs. The myriad of trades up towards billiards that was really instrumental in chipping away of the Rogue defenses on the top floor and allowing a push into the objective for SpaceStation. Same kind of progression here for SpaceStation as they enter in through the office. Brian, though, taking in the glass this time. In the last attacking round, they finally make a change on the operator, and they will have at least 4 smokes at their disposal. Chala with 2, Brian with 2, frag grenade being sent out, I imagine, towards the deployable camera that was placed by Eclipse on the inside of the door. But again, you've got a heavy stack from SpaceStation inside of office. Not a lot to be done upstairs on the clear. It looks like it's just Bosco out on the aquarium balcony. The only man tasked with clearing out the top floor, which was heavily contested by 3 bodies last time. Rogue, though, seemingly having a strong presence in towards the Lamborghini lobby, coming in through courtyard with those myriad kill holes up against the soft wall.
Look at how far back Rogue has gone, just completely vacating most of the site, and they'll play from behind. It'll work. Chala down again as Slash is able to feast upon the defuse planter as well as some pivotal utility. Once again, these asphyxiating bolts and the smokes will be nowhere near the site. The diffuser will have to be retrieved at some point. It's in the middle of the office. So anybody from SSG can simply pick it up as they're only a step or 2 next to it, but they're not going to bother for the time being. It's just going to be a slugfest. With Rampy opening things up onto Rogue's side, you lose vertical down. Now SSG are once again knocking at this door. Quite literally, as Brian will play around the door frame waiting to see if he can find somebody. He's not going to be able to connect fully. He loses quite a bit of HP, thinking they're putting in great work. Down goes Eclipse. And there's easily waiting for Bosco, who's looking the wrong way. The Cool Vibe stairs will be Rogue's place to nest upon, as Brian cannot connect with such close range. It's a quick knife. Shuttle is able to do the final kill for Rogue, and the rest of the heavy lifting on site. This is where Shuttle wasn't necessarily getting every kill that round, but additionally, being able to lock SSG down by throwing those toxic canisters in, it kept SSG from advancing, and by doing that, it allowed the rest of Rogue to coalesce around the one place that you knew most of SSG was sitting, which was in that office and over towards security. Rogue played it perfectly. The only member of SSG who really looked to be solo pushing was Bosco on those Cool Vibe stairs, and because you had a numbers advantage, you could keep somebody watching that. That's where Easily was. Rogue read that perfectly and knew exactly where SpaceStation seemed to be for the entire latter half of that round. And the result is exactly as you'd expect. Rogue takes the round. It's 4-2 now. That's a pretty big lead as we now switch sides.
So we have seen this once before, which was against Evil Geniuses. Different map. It was on Consulate a few weeks ago for SpaceStation. They were down 4-2 at the half after their attacking side, but once they head to the defense, they come back and storm to a 7-5 victory against EG on the backs of their strong defensive prowess on Consulate. This could be another scenario in which SpaceStation, we just saw it on Villa in the previous game between Rise and EXG. Could be another scenario in which SpaceStation are just better on the defensive side on Coastline, which is a very funny thing to say after a couple seasons of it being extremely attacker-sided. But nonetheless, Rogue coming with a 4-2 split on the defense. The only thing is here for SpaceStation, you don't want to come in with a 4-2 split. You need 5 rounds here. You need to get the win. If it has to go to the wire, again, another 7-5 win, like I said. Scrappy wins, it's still 3 points in the standings. We talked about it, crunched the numbers. SpaceStation don't come away with a pure win. 3 points in the standings, a shot at Milan. It becomes astronomically unlikely that there's any possibility of them going to Milan. They would need the stars to align in incredible fashion.
It's a curious thing as to how Chala has played on this team, and he got a lot of praise and a lot of focus for the way that he was back when this team used to be known as Bittersweet, and then they were playing on Most Wanted because he did tend to play a playstyle that, in a lot of ways, he would be so crucial for his team to be able to get great kills. Now, some people would say that it was because he was playing off-site, a playstyle very similar to what we see out of Laxing, for example, especially over the last couple weeks, but he's been much quieter right now, and he tends to do better on defense than attack, which is important for his team at the moment because the contributions on attack have been not the greatest, especially Rampy as well, who's had a very quiet game. SSG really needs their guns to wake up, and they did so. They now pick up 2 kills, as Rogue will find themselves at a disadvantage. And Vertical tried to get another pick, so he led things off here. But it's all SpaceStation. They're really taking the fight to Rogue, who are being very aggressive, challenging multiple angles, and SSG are finding them every step of the way.
Yeah, we're about to pass the midway point in the round, and again getting aggressive. This time is Bosco, so he'll deploy the first smoke, and through his own Toxic Bay, will decapitate easily. A run out now from Rampy. We'll remove Vertical from the big window. Sorry, that was from the Sunrise entrance window. But nonetheless, like you said, we didn't even hit a minute 30. SpaceStation wiped 5 off the board against Rogue, and they bring 1 back in the win column on the defensive side. It's a good look there for SpaceStation to rebound. They'll now be pushed off of Hookah. It looks like they'll opt to go to Kitchen and Service.
Rogue typically play Coastline very utility heavy. Much more utility heavy than I'd say a lot of different teams would. I mean, you look at their lineup right now, you see it. You've got the anti-flank in Nomad with some pretty good guns. You've got Disruption, ADS Denial, Possible Destruction with the Zofia, with Sledge. You've got a set of frag grenades. You have a Capitao on the board who brings smokes as well as those asphyxiating bolts. And then you keep a good 3-speed fragging operator in Eclipse who can also help possibly find any yokai drones, as Echo is not banned. See it in the hands of Brian for the 2nd round in a row. Additionally, any goo mines, you know that Thinking Nate is going to run Legion quite a bit. So against the way that SSG plays, an IQ is often a necessity. Not that we don't see a lot of IQ here on Coastline, because teams like to run Echo, they like to run Maestro, they like to run Valkyrie over and over again. And because Rogue brings all these heavy utility operators, they tend to take quite a while to get set up. If you can thwart that, and you can cut them down before they can really get settled in, like with most teams, but more so just the way that Rogue do tend to play Coastline, it's going to do very well for your chances. It doesn't surprise me to see SpaceStation getting that aggressive, and to do so in the very first round is going to put a lot of pressure onto Rogue and make them really feel the heat. You get knocked off of your winning streak, you take 3 rounds in a row, you transition, and you can't even make it in the building. That's going to require some recalibration, I'm sure. It's a good thing that Rogue has as much experience as they have, because for lesser experienced teams, that can end up knocking them off for a couple rounds. Rogue wouldn't be too surprised to see them regain their momentum in this round in particular. Likely that SpaceStation won't be as aggressive a second time, and it appears so. 40 seconds in, SSG have not even come close to taking the same fights that they did in the previous round.
It's a good mix-up there. We saw the alteration in strategy and opposite ideology, really, from Rogue in the last defensive round. They try the Sunrise and Blue Bar defense twice in a row. Same kind of setup, that top hold, and they flex out, and they go for the full main lobby, flying through security and courtyard, and it works out beautifully, throwing a curveball at SpaceStation. Looks like SpaceStation trying to emulate that a little bit themselves here, as they bring the fight to Rogue in the first minute in the previous round, but now they all peel back, and they're still containing a lot of map control. You've got 2 members upstairs for SpaceStation Gaming over by Theater and Penthouse. You've got 1 member in the Lamborghini lobby behind the main lobby desk, and then you've got 2 defenders on site. Frag grenade being cooked now by Slashug, as most likely an ADS will catch us, but no, it'll ring out at the default plant spot up by the kitchen sink, and Vertical slowly pressing his way through the CCTV hallway as we make it midway through the round, further than Rogue made it last round in its entirety. Quick peek there from Chala as the Doc playing behind the desk, and Vertical unable to hit the shot. Chala quick to retreat back to safety in behind the desk. Overhealing himself now, a common tactic we saw from the last game from Docs, playing 90 on Villa. And you see Eclipse using this electronic sensor to try and detect any of these yokai drones from Brian. Saw the power of Echo and stalling out plants and garnering information on a push in the last game. It'll be equally as important here as the first Toxic Bay brings out, but all of Rogue rushing straight through the breach as they try to send themselves in through the kitchen doorway, but now stuck holding angles as they're trapped inside of smoke and now being cut down. Eclipse now downed off and finished off by Thinking Nate as Chala collects easily, rushing through though. Slashuk will take 1, turning the corner, and is able to down off the second, and Brian taken down, and suddenly it's a man advantage for Rogue as 3 in a row now in the midst of 5 seconds. 2 hair jabs taken away from Rampy, but you got both members of the defense top side. His plant is going down by shuttle. A vault now from Rampy into the courtyard, and Thinking Nate seems to be positioning himself towards the main lobby hatch, but it hasn't been opened yet. So Rampy pressing through courtyard as the plant now will tick away. Thinking Nate pushing his way down Theater stairs will have first contest with a member of Rogue in behind the main lobby desk as Rampy will also pinch in from behind. It's Vertical playing the patience game as almost half the timer has ticked away. Thinking Nate on the vault will be able to hit a perfect headshot. So we level at 2v2 at the midway point of this timer on the diffuser. Slashug rotating to the bathroom door now. Is Thinking Nate extremely low on HP. All it would take is one shot to drop him and put this in a 2v1, but Thinking Nate on a beautiful pre-fire as he rushes straight in, and Thinking Nate again! The 2v3 for Rogue. It does not work in the post plant, and Rampy, it'll go down to the wire on the counter defuse, but we level at a 4v4. Beautiful comeback there on the retake from Thinking Nate, honestly alone in the 3 kills, all on the T5.
Beautiful read of the final 2 members of Rogue there, and Slash falling off of the bottom of that wall, looking in the bathroom at the right time, but Thinking Nate, miraculous shot to read into where Slash had been, all the while likely assuming that SSG was completely blind to this information and where they were going to challenge Rogue. That was an incredible retake. This is 2 games in a row now where we've seen these incredible, heroic performances from 1 or 2 individual players. We saw it with England in the matchup previously. We just saw it from Thinking Nate here. My, what a hell of a finish to a round that was. Absolutely incredible, and the kind of clutch potential that we've seen out of players like Bosco and Thinking Nate before on SpaceStation. Those are the performances that they have on land, they have online, that allows them to keep lockstep with a lot of great teams here. Rogue had a number of very impressive rounds, but they have not looked the same so far on attack. It hasn't been the same level of coordination. First, you have the very first defense from SpaceStation where they're extremely aggressive, and then the previous round was extremely patient. SSG seemed almost afraid to take fights. You let them come to you in Kitchen. Rogue even has control of Kitchen at one point. You get the 2 opening kills, Rogue immediately answers back, takes 3 of your chips away, and you have 2 members left with no rotate, as you noted. Their position coming in from similar angles through the main lobby, knowing that you could have somebody playing in bathroom, somebody playing inside of that main lobby. And the retake from SSG wasn't impressive. Thinking Nade's ability to hit all of his shots a split second faster than his opponents was what was most impressive.
Swapping now to a Bars defense in a Sunrise and Blue Bar. Full rotation coming out now for SpaceStation.
Thinking Nade's been promoted to Doc and almost got rewarded with a kill after that first round as he went for the spawn peek through that drone hole.
Almost able to claim the life of his shuttle as he ran straight through and towards that main lobby door, but was unable to connect one singular bullet in stark comparison to the last round we just saw in that miraculous finish there. Honestly, that was Slash displaying his ability to step on the gas as it looked like it was Rogue stalling out inside of Kitchen, stuck in smoke, stuck in between crossfires. Slash whips up the SMG-11 and claims 2 of his own. The retake, though, like you said, from Thinking Nate. Beautiful anticipation. Might have still been a yokai up inside of sight. Don't know if the IQ was able to take down both of the yokais. So the Echo was felled in behind the rotate and couldn't stop plant. But the calls could have still been coming out. Now, up through the floorboards, finally, Brian will fall. This Slash takes a lot of damage, and holes work both ways as Bosco will fire back skyward. Removing Slash from play, so you take away the only possibility for frag grenades to come at you. You still have the ADSs from Rampy in your possession. You lose Brian, though, as a Nitro Cell, and a very powerful operator to anchor inside of the cubby as a Mira.
It's tough for both teams, but I think the soft destruction that Rogue is going to lose might end up being just as important to them as we saw from SpaceStation. It'll be an impressive comeback from Rogue. They still have tons of utility. Like I said, Rogue really favors the strong utility lineup, especially when you're looking on Coastline. A lot of teams do, but the way that Rogue plays it out tends to work quite well for the rest of their team. They were obviously anticipating coming here on the Coastline, and then you bring that same lineup, and they'll do it without a hard breacher. You know, you're not going to run a Thermite here. You don't really need to run a Maverick. Not really a surprise, and I really like the utility that Rogue brings versus what SSG had. I think that if SSG maybe could have brought some more operators similar to what we see from Rogue, then that possibly could have made a difference, and also, like I said, supporting Rampy early on. So an asphyxiating bolt will get used on the Bosco as a smoke grenade will go out, a toxic canister, and it will allow Bosco to possibly rotate. With the Doc on the board, though, the smoke of SSG could get put back to full health, depending on the positioning of Thinking Nade. But it's easily he was going to get choked out of the entrance. Eclipse just vaults right on in, tries to get across all the way down to Kitchen, but Rampy and Bosco will tag in, and Rogue will find all their numbers falling by the wayside as Eclipse now has no idea where he's getting shot from. He gets gunned down, easily takes out Rampy. A nice shot, but he's got 3 more bodies to go with, and he can't even get through Bosco. SpaceStation will retake the lead off of an impressive defensive stead 3 rounds in a row to answer the 3 rounds that Rogue took in a row. And I don't know what it is today, Flynn, but it feels like we're back in college because we're going streaking.
Oh my. Honestly, the comebacks have been impressive. But like I said, this is the same kind of game plan that SpaceStation brought out against Evil Geniuses on Consulate just a few weeks ago. Down 4-2 at the half. Their attacks almost similar to the storyline that we've seen from Evil Geniuses. The attacks not really being able to piece together, but the defenses quite marvelous to watch. A hookah and billiards defense for return here for SpaceStation Gaming as they look to guarantee themselves a point. But like we denoted earlier on, 1 point doesn't really mean jack. If you're SpaceStation, you got to run the table. Like we said, that would also involve SpaceStation going a perfect 6-0 in the back half. Bosco and Thinking Nade leading the charge right now for SpaceStation at 10 apiece. Chala also chipping in a fair amount. We ragged on him earlier on, but put onto a different role, he seems to be doing a little bit better. I'd also like to point out that Easily has been doing at least a slightly better job at not dying so early. He's had a rough go of things in the last few games for Rogue, being one of those first picks like you talked about with Chala. I like the alteration from the playstyle there from Easily, and obviously, again, a different role, and it's been working out for him.
This has still been a very difficult match for SpaceStation. You know, you look at their record over the last couple weeks. They took out Rise 7-5, they took out EG 7-5, they took out Dark Zero 7-4. The main characteristic of all of this, of all these, is that, yeah, SpaceStation is winning, but it's coming down to the wire. And those are and funny enough, that's the difference between winning one round and losing one round when there's a possible draw on the line. SpaceStation has not been winning big. It must cause a lot of anxiety amongst their fans who watch this. You're a Leafs fan, Rob. You must know what that feels like to see your team narrowly win certain games where you think that they should have a good chance here. As with this, Rogue have an opportunity to play a lot looser. They know that their chance to make it to Milan is over. They're playing at this point to try and stave off a spot in relegations. That 7th place that you noted is still a possibility if the stars align for both Rise Nation and EXG. But I mean, there's something to be said for teams when they play loose. Rogue has not been doing that over the last 3 rounds. In fact, they've looked quite rigid, and it seems that they've been quite frustrated with the way that SSG is using map control to their advantage. On that very first round, on SSG's defense, they were incredibly aggressive, but then since then it's been kind of a passive defense for SSG and just letting Rogue kind of take the rope and just run with it. And Rogue has been their own undoing. But this time around, they've got a good start. Slash takes an awful lot of damage, but he'll be able to take Chala down as he tosses in a frag grenade. A second one will go sailing in, but it won't connect with anybody, as Rogue will have a couple members of SSG on surveillance.
Looks like Rogue are going to be sending 3 to 4 members of the attack through Aquarium. Currently 3 now, as 2 members are positioned up on the rooftop. And Vertical and Shuttle, the Nomad and the Zofia. Eclipse will push in with that electronic sensor again, trying to spot out the Valkyrie cameras. He's already taken down 2 now from Rampy. The Nitro Cell, still a strong possibility, but there goes the Bulletproof camera as well. So a beautiful job here from Rogue, dismantling all of the electronic information utility on the side of SpaceStation Gaming, and losing Chala as well. It's another Nitro Cell taken away from the availability of SpaceStation. Prepping up the crossbow now is Easily. He's making sure he's got his smokes prioritized, using that scope to angle in towards the common rotate on the left-hand side. Out on tarp now is Shuttle, taking a lot of damage, though, from Brian. Slash on 1 HP as well as the Toxic Babes start to ring out, and Brian will overheal himself as he looks to engage once again against Shuttle. You kind of have to go for this peak here. You can't really stand wait, and we saw that from the 6th Invitational, and he's going to go for the peaks again. Finally, Shuttle wins it out, but again, another member of Rogue on very single-digit HP. Eclipse going to rush in tandem with the smokes. Rampy will blast him to the stratosphere, but he's last man alive now, trying to retreat up the Cool Vibe stairs, and it looks like we're going to head to a 5-5 as Vertical in the pre-fire will remove Rampy on an attempted retake. No such luck again from SpaceStation Gaming as finally Rogue stopped the bleeding. We're going to go the distance yet again. It's a 5-5. SpaceStation must win the next 2 rounds if they want a realistic shot at heading to Milan.
Absolutely. Keep in mind that SpaceStation and Rogue ended up in the same group in the Invitationals too, so these teams do know each other decently well here. You know, a lot of people didn't think it would be SpaceStation making it out of the group. It was Rogue who ended up going home, I think, a little heartbroken. So, on that round in particular, what happened? SSG, a lot of sloppiness on defense. Perfect reads from Rogue. Slash starting things off by taking a gamble on Chala, who gets caught in a bit of an odd position. An easy frag grenade will connect. Whether the ADS was burned out or whether there was no ADS at all, that's a question that needs to be asked. But then Brian taking the fight with Shuttle was a little bit needless. Ended up basically throwing his life away. Trying to engage just so that you wouldn't have that pressure on tarp. You know from the way that Laxing broke the hearts of EG fans at the Invitational in the quarterfinals how important being able to hold tarp is when you're trying to cover a plant on Hookah. I understand why Brian took the fight. It looked like he was going to be successful, but Shuttle ended up getting a shot just as Brian started to fade away from that window. Ended up being the last bullet that Shuttle fired that connected. After that, I think Rogue realized, hey, we've taken out 2 bodies on site. You likely have 1 or 2 that are currently playing off site. One of them ended up being Rampy downstairs. What do? Well, you just decide to pressure the site. It worked.
Yeah, grabbing that pick on O'Brien was the catalyst, really. After that, Vert just sends it in. Grabs 3 in the ensuing fray, and at the end of it, Rogue really just needed that final call to be able to push through and, like I said, step on the gas. And it seems to be Slash and Vert really being that driving force for Rogue. If they can start things off and really dictate the pace of a round, then Rogue are in a good spot. They bring that one back there, and they look like they're returning to old form. But it'll be a repeat here from SpaceStation Gaming as they retreat back to Hookah and Billiards as they're looking to run this back and maybe shore up some of their flaws, like you said. Attempted peeks that did not land so well, and maybe 1 extra bullet lands, and the gunfight goes the opposite way in favor of SpaceStation Gaming, and they can at least guarantee themselves 1 point in this matchup for being victorious in this round. Like I said, they're going to need both of them back-to-back, and it looks like Rogue are going to try and emulate exactly what they pulled last time, which is a heavy aquarium take with 1 member sneaking his way up that VIP hallway.
Based on what we've seen today, though, statistically the numbers are not in Rogue's favor. 22 rounds that have been played, 4 of which have gone for attackers. So you're going to need to add an extra 2 to that tally if Rogue wants to walk away with the victory. Keep in mind that for SpaceStation's fortunes, they don't end with a loss, but a draw is nearly as bad, if not just as bad in the grand scheme of things, because that severely limits their ceiling to be able to get in. Rogue getting 1 point, that helps for possibly getting relegated, or at least into that 7th spot about relegations. Still tons of time, though, for both of these teams. You got 2 rounds left. You've got half the round, and Rogue have taken map control over on the Penthouse side. Worth noting that we're back on Hookah, and through 11 rounds here on Coastline, we have not seen a Penthouse Theater defense. Even though the teams have defended Penthouse Theater, but as part of a much greater strategy around the map.
Again, Eclipse doing wonderful work with that electronic sensor to dismantle all the electronic information gadgetry for SpaceStation Gaming. Have to worry about Rampy down below again with those nitro cells, and they're spotting out a yokai on the drone in behind the pool table. Don't know if actually easily clocked that. But again, the IQ sensor going to spot out another Valkyrie camera in the back of Aquarium. So a lot of information being surrendered here, but a lot of time as well burnt. SpaceStation in a much better position as they haven't surrendered members. Yokai's being spotted out and thinking they will collect the first kill as the Yokai will fall. Shuttle being taken away. There go your air jabs again, placed all 3, but the smoke bolts come raining in, but Rampy again repelling this ingress. Slash in behind the bar will remove Chala, and there comes Vertical, pressing up VIP hallway. The linchpin on this, but a good peek there from Brian. The plant going down now from Eclipse as he was disoriented once by a Yokai, but Bosco interrupts it midway through, dying milliseconds now. A Slash has to rush. He'll take down Bosco with the SMG-11. 1 on his left, and it's Rampy at the top of the Cool Vibe stairs. SpaceStation Gaming looking to run the table. They got to bring 1 more round back in their favor to make a realistic run for Milan. I'd like to see the 6-0 run. I think that would be a pretty interesting end to a season. But it's Rogue with the opportunity now to play spoiler, possibly put a final nail in the coffin of SpaceStation season.
What exactly went wrong that round? I mean, you didn't have Chala peek the same way that you did previously. I think Chala realized that there was going to be an entry inside of Aquarium, which was Slash, who was playing in the same position that he played in the previous round on Hookah, on the Hookah balcony, or outside on the Aquarium balcony. Tosses the frag grenade in just to be able to take care of the barbed wire. You had some utility above that as well in the Yokai drone, and there was a Valkyrie camera watching the whole time, as you'd noted inside of Aquarium. So you had lots of information this time that prompted SSG to be a lot more reserved. Just interested to know. Rogue seemed to have the information as to where everybody from SSG was. Saw a lot of confidence there from Vertical as he pushed all the way up to the hallway. Looked in towards the, the pink bar, essentially, or that pink area. It's just called pink upstairs. He didn't know where Brian was. I think it was too much of a singular focus on pushing Aqua and just nobody really paying much attention to Hookah, which is very interesting because the round previously, a big part of why Rogue won it was sticking Shuttle out on that tarp. Now, mind you, Shuttle did die early. He could have been on tarp and possibly got cut down, and nobody from Rogue decided to re-maneuver. But if Shuttle wasn't over in that direction, I think it was too, singular focused for Rogue.
Yeah, it seemed like, again, the hookah push was I guess, it was well focused, I guess, from Rogue as far as the orientation that they needed. But again, they didn't have that back pressure. They didn't have that flank coming through. Slash was late to get to the hookah balcony. You know, there's all these little missteps there from Rogue on that round comparison to the execution that they had the first time they attacked it. Now, Slash is going to start things off with a bang as he drops straight into the penthouse bathroom. A lot of shots will rattle off, but he won't connect a single bullet onto Rampy as he'll retreat further. Thinking Nade's still prone in the back of theater, laying in wait and behind the tables. Pings will rain out as he's able to escape through a rotate hole, and shotgun holes being made from down below as this is Bosco. A frag grenade being cooked, Roless dead on the floorboards. It won't fall straight through, and Bosco will escape with maybe 5 HP taken away from him. Very lucky circumstance there that gravity didn't take full effect on the frag.
Just not enough soft destruction done to be able to drop it on in. That's okay, you go back to work as Slash will decide to do Extreme Home Makeover upstairs inside of penthouses. Once again, we'll complete a coastline map without that penthouse theater being defended. It's worth mentioning because a lot of people do tend to play it in lesser competitive leagues or competitive leagues that are not pro league, so to speak, and in competitive play outside of that. So there is going to be quite a contest to try and control some of that upstairs map. Oh, Eclipse had all the information in the world, and you still lose that fight. Absolute head scratcher. And Chala gets a very important kill as Rogue almost just threw their chances away. I think Chala's very aware that there's a drone nearby and could possibly get dropped on. Slash doesn't have a grenade to toss down, as here he comes. Into absolutely pulverized Chala, and now control of the main lobby, as Rogue have a fighting chance. Chala being distracted, I think, by a drone was his undoing there, but he had all that information to be able to take out Eclipse, and that should have been a very easy kill for Rogue. Did not work that way. Rampy scared off above inside of VIP. He'll move on over to 90. He once again is thinking Nade above. There was an absolutely incredible performance from both of these gentlemen on the previous retake to keep this round in favor of SSG, and they're going to need to have it again. There's only 30 seconds left in our very final round.
Rampy get caught up by Shuttle, who's currently playing the big window. He triggered an air jab inside of Hall of Fame, and now Slash slowly maneuvering his way into the CCTV hallway. But time, the enemy right now for Rogue. Easily still at the service door with the Fuser triggering a Legion Mine will again alert the positioning of Slashug, trying to push his way in through Blue Bar. Here come the smokes and toxic gas and reciprocation. Right up in the default plant spot through the wall. Rampy will claim the life of Shuttle. The Diffuser is surrendered, but two quickly for Rogue. And a third one now as Slash. Thinking Nade, the hopes rest on him once again. The default plant spot not being pre-fired here from Thinking Nade. He can't spot the head. Finally at the last second, but the attackers! Slash in the dying milliseconds, able to trade out Thinking Nade. And that is SpaceStation looking like they need an impossible, miraculous alignment of the cosmic entities to head to land. This is looking nearly impossible.
As you can employ so many space-related puns to a team named SpaceStation, whether or not you say that they're... I liked it. I really